College basketball is officially 1 month away, and as we get ready for a new season, we are going to be breaking down our official preseason top 25 rankings. But before we jump into our rankings, if you enjoy the content, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing as it helps support the channel. And now, let's jump into it. So I have some honorable mentions that just missed out on my preseason top 25 rankings, and they are Creighton, Wisconsin, Oregon, Texas, and Iowa. But coming in at number 25 is the NC State Wolfpack. And year one of the Will Wade era in Raleigh has some serious buzz, and for good reason. Wade wasted no time rebuilding the roster, landing Texas Tech transfer Darion Williams, who was a first-team All-Big 12 forward that averaged 15 points last season, and he proved he can win big in March with the Red Raiders. He's surrounded by a strong supporting cast featuring Trey Holloman from Michigan State, Terrence Arsenault from Houston, and Vin Allen Lubin from rival UNC. And I expect a defensive-minded identity for the Wolfpack, as they have the length, toughness, and relentless pressure on the perimeter to bring, which is classic Will Wade basketball. And there might be some interior soft spots, but this group is built to compete in the ACC in my opinion, and a return to the NCAA tournament will come right away next season. Coming in at number 24 is the San Diego State Aztecs, and Brian Dutcher's teams are built on defense, toughness, and discipline, and this year's squad checks every box. With one of the highest returning minute rates in the Mountain West, San Diego State brings back nearly all of their key pieces from last season's NCAA tournament run. 7-footer Magoon Guath anchors the paint after posting one of the best block rates in all of college basketball, while Miles Byrd returns as a breakout two-way star and an early favorite for Mountain West Player of the Year. Add in BJ Davis on-ball defense and a few intriguing young forwards that they brought in, and this team's identity is clear, which will be physical, connected on defense, and relentless on both ends of the floor. I expect another elite defense from the Aztecs, improved scoring balance from last year, and a return to national relevance. Coming in at number 23 is the Michigan State Spartans, and Tom Izzo just keeps doing what Tom Izzo does, which is building elite defenses that grind opponents into submission. After finishing number 7 in the nation last season and capturing a Big Ten title, the Spartans return a tough, battle-tested core led by Cohen Carr, Jackson Kohler, Jeremy Fears Jr., and Carson Cooper. Down low, Kohler and Cooper anchor one of the strongest rebounding duos in the country, while Carr's athleticism will help fuel Izzo's fast-paced transition attack. Also, newcomer Trey Fort adds in a scoring punch from Samford, giving Michigan State some much-needed firepower on the offensive end. And even if their offensive consistency remains a question for some of next season, this group's physicality, discipline, and the defensive ceiling that they bring should keep the Spartans firmly in the national conversation once again. Coming in at number 22 is the North Carolina Tar Heels, and Hubert Davis heads into what seems like a make-or-break season in Chapel Hill, but he has a roster loaded with size, skill, and multiple intriguing new pieces. 5-star freshman Caleb Wilson joins the front court alongside Arizona transfer Henry Vasar and will help give UNC length and defensive versatility that they lacked last year. Seth Trimble is returning to the Tar Heels and will step into a leadership role for the squad, while Kean Evans and Luka Bokovic round out the key pieces as they will look to provide additional ball handling threats and create opportunities for themselves and others. The offense seems like it could thrive with the current UNC roster makeup, but defensive consistency will be the key for the Tar Heels. And if this roster clicks like I think it can, and the newcomers hit the ground running, North Carolina has the talent to compete in the ACC with the likes of Duke and Louisville, and could make a run in March. Coming in at number 21 is the Tennessee Volunteers, and this year's Volunteer squad looks exactly like what you would expect a Rick Barnes team to be, as Tennessee is back with another roster designed for toughness and depth. Felix Okpara anchors the defense and the paint as an elite rim protector, while Maryland transfer Jacoby Gillespie brings scoring, playmaking, and veteran poise to a backcourt that is missing Zakai Ziegler. 5-star freshman Nate Ament gives Tennessee a potential game-changing offensive option at either the 3 or the 4 spot, and is capable of matching other top-tier SEC wings. Cade Phillips, JP Estrella, and Jalen Carey will help add frontcourt versatility, making this one of the deepest lineups in all of college basketball, but spacing and cohesion remain a big question for me for the Volunteers. But if Ament and Gillespie click, Tennessee projects as one of the top SEC teams yet again, and another high seed in March, keeping them firmly in the national conversation. And coming in at number 20 is the Auburn Tigers, and Auburn enters this season with a retooled roster and plenty of intrigue despite losing nearly their entire Final Four squad from last year. Tahad Pettiford returns though as a smooth left-handed floor general and is ready to emerge as one of the SEC's top guards, while UCF transfer Keyshawn Hall and Mississippi State transfer Keyshawn Murphy will help bring size, scoring, and versatility up front. And Stephen Pearl now takes the reins after his dad, Bruce Pearl's sudden retirement, and will be tasked with blending transfers and newcomers into one cohesive unit. And questions do remain without Janiah Broome on the team, but Auburn's talent that they brought in, their length and athleticism, should give them a high ceiling. And if Pettiford takes that next step in his development and makes the sophomore jump, the Tigers can remain competitive in the SEC and get back to the NCAA tournament. Coming in at number 19 is the Illinois Fighting Illini, and Brad Underwood's European experiment hits full stride next season with a roster that blends skill, size, and a bunch of international players. Tomislav Ivicic leads the way yet again for the Illini, as he is a 7-foot center who can shoot threes, create plays for others, and dominates near the rim, while Mahalo Petrovic and Kylan Boswell will handle the ball handling duties and could make up one of the best backcourts in the entire country. Andreas Stojakovic and Ben Humerish offer some offensive firepower from the wing position, and David Mirkovic and Zvonimir Ivicic help add depth and flexibility to that front court. Illinois' offense is poised to be one of the nation's most dynamic, but defensive consistency will be the key question for Brad Underwood's squad. But if the Illini can find cohesion on that end of the floor, this Balkan-powered roster could rise from Big Ten contender to a top 10 national threat, in my opinion. Coming in at number 18 is the Kansas Jayhawks, and Bill Self and the Jayhawks may not have the Final Four expectations that we're accustomed to, but Kansas still boasts one of the nation's premier programs. The team hinges on superstar freshman Darren Peterson this year, and he's a long, fluid, NBA-ready guard capable of scoring from just about anywhere and creating off the dribble for others and himself. Sophomore Flory Badunga provides elite rim protection and athleticism inside and should make that sophomore jump this season, while transfers Trey White, Melvin Council Jr., and Jaden Dawson add depth and versatility to the squad. Shooting and proven star power are concerns for the first time in what seems like years for the Jayhawks, but if Peterson and Badunga reach their ceilings, Kansas could return to a top 4 seed in March, and I'm convinced of that. Defensively and athletically though, this roster has the tools, so it just needs the time to gel around its new star in Peterson. Coming in at number 17 is the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and Mark Few faces another season of turnover, but the Zags remain elite thanks to a dominant frontcourt tandem of Graham Ike and Braden Huff. And these two form a physical, versatile spine for the Zags that can control the paint and anchor both ends of the floor. And with Ryan Nembhard gone, the perimeter will be handled by new guards Braden Smith and Mario St. Superi, along with the wings like Tyon Grant Foster and Adam Miller, who they brought in from the transfer portal, and they'll help with the scoring and defensive load. And while there is some uncertainty with injuries, like how Steele Venters will be in his return after back-to-back seasons of being injured, Gonzaga's veteran roster and Few's coaching adaptability give them such a high ceiling, and I expect the Bulldogs to dominate the WCC once again and remain a tough out for anyone in March. Coming in at number 16 is the Alabama Crimson Tide, and Nate Oates returns with a lethal backcourt led by LeBaron Philon, who shockingly opted to withdraw from the NBA draft and return to college in the offseason. And there's Aiden Holloway, who gives Alabama one of the SEC's most dynamic guard duos alongside Philon. Latrell Wrightsell and transfers Jalil Bethea and Bol Bowen help add shooting and depth to the squad, while Aiden Sherrill and Bucknell transfer Noah Williamson will help anchor the front court for the Crimson Tide. And Alabama will face a grueling non-conference schedule with marquee tests against the likes of Purdue, Illinois, and Arizona, so we will know what to expect from this team pretty early on into the season, but their shooting depth and spacing in the system that they have give them the potential for explosive offensive nights. And defensive consistency, as always, remains a question for this squad, but if Oates' team stays healthy and turns it up on that end of the floor when needed, Alabama should secure another NCAA tournament berth and a top 4 seed in the SEC. And coming in at number 15 is Iowa State, and TJ Otzelberger's Cyclones are once again positioned as contenders in the Big 12, as they will yet again blend a top-tier defense with a deep, versatile front court. Point guard Tamin Lipsey is back and anchors the perimeter, bringing elite on-ball defense, while Nate Heisey provides shooting and size alongside him. Joshua Jefferson returns as a versatile, all Big 12 caliber forward, and Milan Monkilovic adds in his sharp shooting and offensive flexibility. Then you have Virginia transfer Blake Buchanan, who will help strengthen the front court, and Utah Valley transfer Dominic Nelson, who can make an immediate impact with his fearless scoring ability. And while the Cyclones will need to replace both Curtis Jones and Keyshawn Gilbert's offensive firepower, it seems that they have the pieces to do so, and Iowa State's culture, defensive identity, and returning talent should keep them in the top tier of the Big 12 and solidify them in the national top 25 conversation. Coming in at number 14 is the Arizona Wildcats, and Tommy Lloyd's Wildcat squad is loaded with both returning talent and elite newcomers, which gives Arizona a sky-high ceiling this season. Backcourt mainstays of Jaden Bradley and Anthony Del Orso will look to take on expanded roles, especially with the departure of Caleb Love, while incoming 5-star freshmen Braden Burries and Koa Pete should make an immediate impact and bring athleticism, size, and a scoring punch to the roster, and Pete even has a dark horse All-American potential in my opinion. Up front, you have Toby Owaka and Modius Krivas to anchor the paint, giving Arizona the tools for dominance on both ends of the floor, and the combination of veteran leadership and explosive freshmen should allow Lloyd to run his up-tempo transition offense while maintaining an elite defense. And if development and chemistry click early on for this team, the Wildcats should not only return to the NCAA tournament, but compete for a top seed and make a deep run in March. Coming in at number 13 is Arkansas, and John Calipari's Razorbacks return a loaded, versatile roster that combines veteran experience with some elite young talent. And Darius Acuff Jr. will anchor the backcourt as a 5-star freshman point guard who's capable of creating in transition and scoring in bunches, while Carter Knox returns for what could be a breakout sophomore season in Fayetteville, and Trevin Brazil is back and will provide physicality and athleticism in the front court. And Calipari's rotation will be extremely deep this season, with DJ Wagner and Billy Richmond III there, as well as the newly added transfers of Malik Ewan from Florida State and Nick Pringle from South Carolina, giving him options for both defensive-minded lineups and offensive firepower when needed. There's also another 5-star freshman in Fayetteville in Malik Thomas, who should be a scoring punch off the bench, providing flexibility if Acuff or Wagner struggle. And Arkansas's interior defense and rim protection should be a strength, and with this blend of talent, physicality, and optionality that Calipari will have, the Razorbacks are positioned for an even better year 2 for Calipari in Arkansas, and a ceiling that could see them challenge for an SEC title. Coming in at number 12 is the UCLA Bruins, and UCLA pairs stability with high-end upside this season, giving Mick Cronin a talented and versatile roster to work with. The frontcourt duo of Tyler Bilodeau and Eric Daly Jr. provides a strong offensive and defensive foundation for the Bruins, with Bilodeau dominating on the inside and Daly helping space the floor. Add in one of the best transfers this offseason in Donovan Dent, who is the Mountain West Player of the Year, and the Bruins suddenly have an elite creator capable of scoring, distributing, and thriving in transition, which is something they lacked last season. Sky Clark also returns and will help anchor the Bruins' perimeter defense for the guard position. They also have good depth with players like Steven Jamerson, Trent Perry, and Xavier Booker. And if Dent flourishes like he's expected to, UCLA has a path to be one of the best teams in not only the Big Ten, but in the entire country. Coming in at number 11 is the Louisville Cardinals, and Pat Kelsey has Louisville riding high after a 27-win turnaround last season, and this roster takes the excitement up another notch. Mikael Brown Jr. comes in as one of the top freshmen and brings advanced playmaking and a deep shooting range to run the offense, and he'll be surrounded by one of the best perimeter tandems in the country in transfers Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely, while Kennesaw State transfer Adrian Woolley adds even more firepower to an absolutely stacked backcourt. Up front, Sanando Fru, Kason Pryor, and Ali Khalifa provide a versatile mix of big men, and realistically, this squad could be the nation's top offensive team and should help the Cardinals get back to the top of the ACC and could even carry Louisville deep into March with even Final Four potential. And coming in at number 10 is the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and Grant McCasland has assembled yet another roster that looks ready to compete at the very top of the Big 12 and nationally. The Red Raiders centerpiece is JT Toppin, who is last season's Big 12 Player of the Year and second-team All-American, and brings elite scoring, rebounding, and defensive prowess to the team. Rising sophomore point guard Christian Anderson is poised for a breakout season and thrives in pick-and-roll actions and provides sharpshooting and playmaking alongside Toppin. McCasland also added in precise fit transfers in Lawan Watts, Donovan Atwell, and Tyree Bryan to help bolster spacing, 3-and-D versatility, and interior toughness. And while depth and secondary playmaking remain slight questions for the squad after Darion Williams and Elijah Hawkins' departures, the combination of two stars, talented role players, and McCasland's system makes Texas Tech a top 10 team nationally with serious Big 12 championship potential. Coming in at number 9 is the Michigan Wolverines, and Dusty May's Wolverines squad boasts one of the most physically imposing front courts in all of college basketball and will be anchored by transfers Ade Mara, Marez Johnson, and maybe the best transfer in the country in Yaxel Lindeborg. All three are dominant rebounders and finishers, giving Michigan elite 2A efficiency around the rim and top 20 national projections in both 2-point percentage offense and defense. The backcourt features pass-first point guard and North Carolina transfer Elliot Cadeau, whose transition vision pairs perfectly with the bruising front court, while Namari Burnett, Roddy Gale, LJ Kaysen, and Trey McKinney provide versatile scoring and defensive upside on the guard and wing positions. If the half-court spacing clicks, the Wolverines could challenge Purdue atop the Big Ten and make a deep NCAA tournament run, making them one of the country's most dangerous two-way teams. Coming in at number 8 is the Duke Blue Devils, and John Shire's squad blends elite freshman talent with key returning pieces, giving the Blue Devils one of the most dynamic rosters in the country. Cameron Boozer leads the charge as a 6'10" phenom operating as a true point forward, while his brother Caden adds playmaking gravity and elite floor leadership to the Blue Devils backcourt. Duke's frontcourt is anchored by Patrick Ngongba and Malik Brown, who are both capable of passing and creating for shooters, while wings Isaiah Evans and Dame Sarr stretch the floor and thrive off movement, and Evans is another one of those sophomores who could be headed towards a breakout season. The point guard spot is an X factor as Caleb Foster returns and Caden Boozer is there to share duties, and if Cameron Boozer has a Cooper Flag-like impact like he could, Duke will be a Final Four contender yet again. Coming in at number 7 is the Kentucky Wildcats, and Mark Pope's team boasts one of the deepest and most athletic rosters in the country, loaded with high-level talent at nearly every position. Otega Owe returns as the SEC Player of the Year frontrunner and will anchor the perimeter alongside national champion and Florida transfer Denzel Aberdeen and versatile defender Mo Diabate. Former 5-star freshman and Arizona State transfer Jaden Quainitz should provide elite rim protection and mobility in the front court once he returns from injury, while there's Colin Chandler, Cam Williams, and freshman Jasper Johnson, who is there to add depth and lineup flexibility for Pope. Offensively, transfer point guard Jalan Lowe gives Kentucky dynamic playmaking, while the front court can finish, rebound, and protect the rim. And if the Wildcats defense gels and the perimeter scores thrive in Pope's system like I think they will, Kentucky has the tools to compete for the SEC crown and win it all. Coming in at number 6 is the BYU Cougars, and Kevin Young's squad carries Final Four potential, anchored by star freshman AJ DeBansa, a projected top pick in the NBA draft next season, and dynamic playmaker Rob Wright III, who is a transfer from Baylor and is poised for a breakout sophomore season. Richie Saunders returns as one of the nation's most efficient scorers, while Keba Keita provides a rim-protecting anchor inside. Then you have transfers like Kennard Davis, who add elite defensive versatility and give BYU the tools to compete on both ends of the floor. Offensively, Young's turbocharged system leverages pick and rolls, transition, and spacing to maximize the Cougars' firepower, while defensively, DeBansa, Davis, and Keita will be there to set a physical tone. And with this mix of elite talent, veteran stability, and innovative coaching that Young brings, BYU has the ceiling of a national championship contender and the floor of a Sweet 16 team. And coming in at number 5 is the St. John's Red Storm, and Rick Pitino and the Johnnies are dripping with talent and experience experience this year and will look to blend their ferocious defensive identity with a high-powered offensive upside. Zuby Ejiofor is back and will anchor the paint yet again and is a National Player of the Year candidate, while frontcourt transfers Dylan Mitchell and Bryce Hopkins provide elite defensive versatility and scoring at multiple levels. The backcourt is loaded with lethal shooters and/or playmakers like Ian Jackson, Ozias Sellers, and Josan Sanon, giving Pitino way more offensive firepower than he had last year. And while 7 newcomers will comprise much of the Johnnies' rotation, Pitino's track record of exceeding expectations and molding teams into disciplined, high-pressure squads should give St. John's the ability to dominate a Big East conference that seems like a 2-team race. Coming in at number 4 is the Houston Cougars, and Kelvin Sampson's program continues to fly underappreciated nationally, and maybe I'm even doing that with this ranking, but the Cougars are a defensive and rebounding juggernaut that's built for sustained success. Houston returned 3 starters, including reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in JoJo Tugler, who is a force on the boards and a defensive anchor, to go alongside the elite guard duo of Milos Uzan and Emmanuel Sharp. Uzan's craftiness and pick and rolls and Sharp's shot-making ability provide Houston with an elite offensive foundation, while top recruits like Isaiah Harwell, Kristen Knack Jr., and Kingston Flemings help add NBA-level upside to the squad. And Sampson's system and development should ensure that Houston remains elite on both ends of the floor, with physicality and speed being their trademarks, and I expect the Cougars to be at the top of the Big 12 once again and make a serious run at a national championship with this loaded and well-coached roster. Coming in at number 3 is UConn, and Dan Hurley and the Huskies return this season with remarkable continuity, bringing back 5 key contributors and adding what seems like perfect fits on paper in Georgia transfer guard Silas Demery Jr. and McDonald's All-American Braylon Mullins. Solo Ball and Alex Caravan will return and lead the perimeter, combining their sharpshooting with elite floor management, while former Michigan transfer Taurus Reed Jr. has breakout potential and will anchor the interior with punishing efficiency and elite rebounding for the Huskies. And this roster blends veteran leadership with some explosive newcomers and versatile scoring threats, which should give UConn the firepower to be one of the top offenses in the nation. Defensive consistency remains a work in progress for this team, but with the Huskies' size and skill, this should allow them to dominate both transition and half-court play on the offensive side of things. And with this mix, Dan Hurley and UConn are built for a Big East title and will compete for a 3rd national championship in just 4 seasons. Coming in at number 2 is the Florida Gators, and Todd Golden's squad proved they belong among the elite nationally last season by winning it all in one of the strongest years ever in college basketball, despite being ranked outside of the top 20 in the preseason. And this season, Florida returns one of, if not the best front courts, which is anchored by Alex Condon, Thomas Houck, Ruben Chinyelu, and Micah Hanlogden, giving them unmatched depth and dominance on the inside. And although Florida's backcourt lost a ton of production with the departures of Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, and Will Richard, the Gators added 2 of the best guards in the transfer portal with the additions of Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan, who are both versatile creators who can score, pass, and run the offense efficiently. And Golden's analytical system should pair perfectly with this roster mix of size and skill and allow Florida to control the glass, punish the opponents in transition, and create high-quality looks all over the floor. And with this roster, I believe the Gators have a legitimate chance to repeat as national champions. And coming in at the number 1 spot is the Purdue Boilermakers, and Purdue returns a near perfect blend of experience, talent, and depth under arguably one of the best coaches in the sport in Matt Painter. And Braden Smith, who is the preseason National Player of the Year, will lead the way for the Boilermakers and is arguably the best point guard in all of college basketball, while Trey Kaufman-Renn returns to make one of the best duos in the sport. Fletcher Loyer is also back and adds sharpshooting and versatility and rounds out a senior trio that can dominate just about any matchup. And the front court for Purdue gets a major upgrade with Daniel Jacobson returning from injury and Oscar Clough arriving from South Dakota State via the transfer portal, which should help firm up Purdue's rebounding and interior defense that they lacked last season. add in high upside international freshman Omer Mayer and some other key pieces, and Purdue combines one of the nation's top tier offenses with a newfound defensive ability, which makes the Boilermakers my #1 team and the favorite to win the national championship this upcoming season. And with that, let me know in the comments what you think of my official preseason top 25 rankings, and who do you think should be higher or lower in my rankings. Also, make sure to check out my other college basketball content, and if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.